Here we are. Time to start tearing this thing down. I'm gonna start with all the small stuff first. Bumper, hood, radiator, fenders. These steps have to come off to get the transmission out. All right, I'm just gonna stop here for a quick second because I want to thank everybody who supported me on my most viewed video. It's the video that kind of, I think, put me on the maps a little bit. And obviously that is when I put the 855 400 Cummins turbo, it's a whole set turbo, on a 671 Detroit. Now I know I promised everybody a follow-up video, and I just never got the time to do it just because everything got busy. So I guess this will be your follow-up video. That was a good solid year and a half after I did this turbo. Everything still looks good in there. I mean, you know, nothing ever happened. It ran great. And let me show you right here. This was part of the follow-up video it's supposed to be. So this I made out of I made this blow-off valve out of a check valve. It's got a little spring in there, you can see. So when the turbo builds up, you know, like more than 5 pounds of boost, it pushes that spring out. Because the object was not to have, you know, 10 million horsepower out of this thing. The object, there was 2 reasons I put the turbo on there. Probably the first and most obvious reason was just because it's cool. I mean, every truck needs a turbo, right? And the second reason was when I put this motor in and I took this blower cover off, the blower was kind of wore out, like it was scored. I don't know if I'm going to get into that in this video. I'm just kind of going to concentrate on doing the truck and putting the cat engine that sits in there in this thing. But the blower was pretty scored up on it, and I didn't put bigger injectors. Everybody kept saying put bigger injectors in it and, you know, all this stuff. Well, it wasn't power. It was mainly because it's cool and to gain back what the blower doesn't do anymore. Because that blower's wore out, and I'm sure, you know, I'm sure it's not up to its full blowing capacity. So therefore the turbo makes up for that. So, you know, at a hard pull, like, you know, full throttle with a skid steer on the back or load of stone, pulling up a hill, it only built 5 pounds of boost. If I had the blow-off valve out of there that I made, it'd probably build like 10, I think. But I didn't want to put a whole bunch of boost to it and ruin anything. It was just to, you know, just to give it a little more air. And I gotta say, after I put that turbo on there, the fuel efficiency of this thing went like through the roof. I go like 100 miles with this thing bobtailing, or like a little bit of weight in the back, and it only used maybe like 4 or 5 gallons of fuel. I don't even think it was that. It was crazy how much I gained fuel efficiency out of that turbo being on there. And that was more important than me to have like bigger injectors and blow black smoke and all this horsepower. I mean, it's a 671 Detroit. How much horsepower you get? And it's stock. I don't know if it's ever been rebuilt in the past, but it's stock. You're not gonna get, you know, you probably would if you wanted to put 10 grand into it, but you're not gonna get like, you know, 400 or 500 horsepower out of a stock Detroit without breaking something inside, a rod, or, you know, or doing some damage. I just wanted it to be a little happier. Yeah, let's take the thing off. Yeah, it's just as heavy as I remember it being. So there, we went from a 671T to a 671N, just like that. And I know I had a lot of people saying I was going to blow this gasket out and all that, and I tell you what, you know, I had other people saying I was going to break the studs off the manifold, and you know, a lot of different things I got in comments. And, you know, here it is a year and a half later, and I mean, I broke the gasket getting it off, but you can plainly see that there was no exhaust leaking out of anywheres. And I forgot to mention too, yes, the third reason I put the turbo on there, which I could have just got the stock part, was there was like a cast thing that came off of this. If you watch that turbo video, there was a cast thing that came off of this that was broke. It cracked, and I had to get it off in like 20 pieces. And I said, well, you know what, I'm just gonna put a turbo on it. So that's where I got the metal, and I built this thing here, and I mean, everything held up beautiful. So yeah, there she is. Also, one more thing, I had a bunch of comments, and this is the time to answer some more. I had some people ask me where I tapped into the 671 Detroit for the turbo, and I don't know what these are, but I do know that that bottom one was the drain that had a plug in it. They both had a plug in it. That bottom one's the drain that goes back in the oil pan, and then the top one was the pressure one. I just ran it into a hose here for the top of the turbo. So I hope that answers your questions. And looking at, you know, there's a lot of different configurations of these motors, but it's on the passenger side, on the back of the motor. I mean, I didn't even know this. All I did was I started the motor up, and I loosened these a little bit, and you know, you can feel it, you know, like when you start to loosen the plug, if there's pressure behind it. And actually that bottom one, I looked in there with a flashlight, so that's how I determine. And I'm sure there's more ports elsewhere that you could use for a turbo also. Let's check out what we just went and got in the Pontiac Vibe. You really almost couldn't tell there's what's in there is in there. Actually taking it pretty well. Got some stickers here. Behind door number 1. 9-speed Eaton transmission. Looks like it's about 700 pounds with the bell housing and everything. It's out of a cab over. I'm sure that thing on top isn't light. Probably 50 pounds just for that. Here's the back of it. So, got some Mickey Mouse straps. Yeah, I went and got this from about 150 miles away, same place I got the motor from. I didn't haul the motor back here though. I should have tried that, it would have been interesting. So the guy got it on there in here with fork extensions, because of that. I don't know the way this looks here. He had an actual fork lift, so it had like the tall thing on the front. I might be able to get it with just the forks without the extensions, because I don't have both of mine. I don't know what happened to the one. So yeah, let's get this thing out. she is. Yeah, that car lifted up quite a bit when I took that off. The old Vibe did it again. I tell you what, man, these cars, everybody's like, you should get a pickup truck. I said, I don't need a freaking pickup truck. I got a Pontiac Vibe. So, yeah, I love these little cars, man. I'd get another one any day. Anyway. Yeah, this one, pretty big transmission here. Everything seems pretty good on it. It's 9-speed direct. Not as good as overdrive, but it looks pretty good though. Everything's pretty tight on it. I'm gonna get it in the garage at some point, not for a little bit here. My main concern is that motor. I'm gonna have to figure out what all this crap is. I don't know what the hell that thing is. That's weird. Almost looks like some kind of master cylinder. Oh, it's a slave cylinder. Oh, this thing had whatever you call it, the hydraulic clutch on it. Oh, okay, that's a slave cylinder. Well, it makes sense for a cab over. I wasn't even thinking. I never worked really on cab overs much, a couple times, but not with the transmission. Oh, okay, so that explains. Yeah, so that's a slave cylinder, and I won't need that in this, so I'll just put my clutch, my bar on it there. This has got the bigger input shaft, the Detroit, and the bigger bell housing too. I believe the bigger bell housing has got to be. So yeah, we'll open this chapter here in a week or two or whatever. When I get to that point, we'll start checking this thing over, but for now I'm just going to put it away and focus on the truck. I've been under here for the last hour or so. Got the transmission jack under this thing. Got it strapped around. Pulled the drive shaft out. I have a ratchet strap here. It should be a come along, but I don't feel like digging my come along out right now. I don't know where it is. That'll help me pull this whole thing back. There she is. It wasn't too bad. Actually came out pretty darn easy. Especially doing it on a stone driveway with a little metal plate. One of these days I need to build a garage with a concrete floor, because I can definitely say doing this shit outside gets old after a while. Well, I gotta find a place to keep this. This I want to keep because someday I want to put it in that truck, possibly. Actually, everything's all unhooked. All I gotta do is just take the 4 bolts on the motor mounts out, and this thing's ready to yank. So try to get that done today. It's supposed to be crappy for the next couple days, so at least if I get the motor out, I'll have some time to think about how I'm going to put that other axle in it and come up with some plans on extending the frame and all that stuff. So if I can get that done, I'd really be ahead of the game. I got the transmission out on a pallet. That wasn't bad, just put some straps under it. And we got this thing ready to come out. Got it all chained up on the eye hooks here, or eyelets, chain wrapped around it. Got a bolt on the end of the fork so it don't slip off in case something happens. Looks like we're pretty much ready. Everything's all disconnected and we're ready to yank her. I'm gonna leave these motor mounts right in here that I made, because these will work for that cat motor. Looks like I forgot to unhook. Yeah, I thought I unhooked the gas pedal linkage, but I unhooked the wrong one, so I ripped that out. I guess that's what that big bang was. I couldn't see that, and I got into some lines here, but it don't matter because all this shit's gonna get replaced anyway. So I wasn't worried about it. There's the aftermath. I don't know what I'm gonna do with it. Probably just hang around here for 10 years.